Hello my amazing developers. So in the previous video, we looked at updating the switch zoom view size when we have two cameras rather than three. Then we also fixed the application launch issues for landscape orientation. And we also completed the process of continuous switching between the back and the front cameras. Then we improved the privacy in the app switcher. And we also added the code to hide the switch zoom view when the user switches to the front camera. And then we also looked at focus and exposure. In today's video, we will create alert view that will be responsible for displaying messages. We will also create torch view that will act as a light source for our video camera. Then we will add the code to reset the zoom state when user switches to the front camera. And we will also reset the exposure and focus when continuous switching between the different cameras. And finally, we will create point of interest view that will act as a point of reference when the user taps on an area for focusing and exposing at a given point. So let's get started. We will create an alert view that will be responsible for displaying messages. So let's go ahead and do that. I have Xcode open up over here from the previous video, and we will be creating a group for alert view. So make sure the views group is selected and right click and click on new group. Here I'm going to call it alert, and also need to create a new file. We can start by CocoaTouch class first, and here I'm going to say alert view and make sure we set the subclass of UI view. Click create, and similarly I'm going to create a nib file with the same name, alert view. Make sure we zoom out so we have enough space, and I'm going to select the file owner and bring up the right bar and set the class name as alert view, and also go to the alert view.swift file and write in the following code. First, we will create an IB outlet. For content view, and we will be overriding the initializers. And also have our own custom initializer called custom init, and make sure we call the custom init in both of our overridden initializers. And here I'm going to have bundle.main, and ask the bundle that I need to load the nib name, and nib name I'm also going to have it as a variable, string describing self.self, so it's referring to the same nib name. And here nib name owner is self, options are nil, and I'm going to say add subview content view. Content views frame is bounds of the parent, and content views auto resizing mask is set to flexible width and flexible height as previous views have been defined. Next, let's head to the alert view nib file, and in the file owner we are going to open up the connections and connect the content view to the parent view of the view. We will be heading to the size and make sure we select freeform, and I'm going to give it a custom height of 60. To get rid of the bottom bar, just head to any file and come back to the nib file. The bottom bar will be hidden. While the view is selected, let's set its background color to clear color. Add in another view from a library. And add its label to container view. Set its constraints to 10 from all sides. that is the leading, trailing, and top and bottom. Also, while the container view is selected, let's add its corner radius by saying layer.cornerRadius and of type number, and value is going to be 4. While the container view is selected, we will set its background color to background alpha 60. Next, we will add a label in the container view. We are going to set its label as alert label and also set constraints to 10 from all sides. And make sure we set the color to text on background. The text color, text on background alpha. And also set the number of lines to 0 so it can fully grow automatically. Head to the Swift file for the alert view and have ourselves an IB outlet for the both view and the label. So I'm going to have container view as IB outlet over here, another IB outlet for the alert label of type UI label. Let's head to the nib file of the alert view and select the file owner, expand the views. So head to the connections and connect the container view to the container view and alert label to the alert label. So all are connected now. Let's head to the Swift file one more time, and here we are going to create a public method that will be responsible for setting the text onto the label. We are going to call it setAlertText that requires a parameter of text which is of type string. And I'm simply going to say alert label.text is equal to the passed in text from the parameter. Next, we will be adding the alert view to the capture view controller. So let's head to the capture view controller. Capture view controller, open up the nib file, expand in the views, and from the library, add in a new view. We need to make sure that we make it above the switch zoom view. So the new view is above the switch zoom view now. I'm going to set its class to alert view, which we have created now. I'm going to also set its label to alert label, alert view. Set its background color to clear color. Going to give it a width constraint of 200 and height constraint of 60. Going to give it the bottom constraint to the switch zoom view with a good space of 30, and also need to set the center align in the container. Make sure while the alert view is selected, go to the constraints and select both of the width and height constraint and set to remove at build time. So both for the width and height constraint, it's going to be removed at build time. We'll be also setting its alpha to 0. So initially it will be hidden. Head to the capture view controller Swift file at the top of the file, and here I'm going to have an IB outlet just above the switch zoom view, similarly like we placed it above the switch zoom view in the nib file. Here I'm going to call it alert view of type alert view, and go back to the nib file and make sure the file owner is selected. Head to the connections, select the alert views connection and connect it to the alert view. Next, let's head to the Swift file of the capture view controller, and here I'm going to have a new property. I'm going to call it private var hide alert view work item. Its type is going to be DispatchWorkItem of type optional. We will be creating a method to show and hide the alert view by going to the private extension of the capture view controller. Here I'm going to create a new method, show and hide alert view. And I'm also going to require to have a text as a parameter of type string. passed into this function. So we will be first asking the alert view to be shown with passed in text. I'm going to create this method now, but before that we will be completing this method. So we need to have the hide alert view work item as a parameter, as a variable, sorry, and dispatch work item will be defined here. Make sure we have the weak self, and always we need to have gar let self equals self else return, and we are going to say self.hide alert view. Make sure we remove the space, and after the alert view has been shown from this method, we are going to hide it after 5 seconds. So what we will be doing is calling in DispatchQueue.main.async after with the deadline of now plus 5 seconds. Sorry, not this method, the other one. Async after here now plus 5 seconds, and the work item is going to be this created work item over here, and I'm going to keep it also as a reference to the class parameter that we have declared before, so we can cancel it. Now we will be creating show and hide alert views methods below. Show alert view with passed in text of type string, and first we will be saying hide alert view work item dot cancel, and hide alert view, I'm going to say work item is going to be nil. So if previously shown alert view is already there, it will be gone away, and the scheduled for displaying after 5 seconds to hide away, it will be cancelled right away. And also going to set alert views alpha set to 1, alert view dot set text alert text, and pass in the text that we received from the parameter of the function, and apply a transformation translation x is 0, y is 30 on the alert view, so it comes up slightly when the alert view is displayed. And we will be also having an animation method over here that we are going to receive from UI view property animator, and going to call in this method over here. Let's hide the right bar so we have more space, and time interval is 0.3, and animation is ease in and out, and the animation declared over here will be having the alert view dot transform. I'm going to say identity, and also alert view is going to be alpha set to 0. Sorry, it's the opposite. We need to say 1 over here, and alpha is going to be 0. So initially it's hidden, and with the animation it comes up and it shows also. Make sure we say self always inside the animation block, and I'm going to say animation dot start animation in the show method. Next, I'm going to have a new method for hiding the alert view. Hide alert view is going to do exactly the opposite. I'm going to have an animation variable UI view property animator, and the duration is 0.3, ease in and out, and the animation is self.alertView.transform is going to be CG affine transform translation 30, and self.alertView alpha is going to be 0. Make sure we call in our animation.start animation. So the hide alert view is complete now. Next, we will be creating a view that will act as a light source for our video camera. We are going to call this torch view. In the back side of the iPhone camera, we already have a light source. In the photo mode, this is called flash, and in the video mode, it will be called torch mode. So let's see how we can utilize the torch mode of the iPhone. We will be creating new group under the views, right click on it and say new group. I'm going to call it torch, and I'm going to create a new file under here and of type CocoaTouch class, and going to call it torch view as the class name, of type UI view. Click next and create. Make sure we delete this code. And similarly, I'm going to create a new view file here with the same name, torch view. Let's head back to the Swift file and write in our usual code that we do as an IB outlet private weak var content view of UI view type, and we need to have the custom initializers for the initWithFrame methods and initWithCoder and have ourselves a private method for custom init that we are going to call in the both of the overridden initializers. Here I'm going to have bundle variable from bundle.main and nib name variable that is going to be of type string describing self.self, and ask the bundle to load the nib name of same nib name owner is self, options are nil, and add subview that is the container content view, and content view's frame is going to be the bounds of the parents, and content view dot auto resizing mask is set to be flexible width and flexible height. Let's head to the torch view nib file. Make sure we zoom out a bit so we can see the enough area, and bring in the right bar, and I'm going to set the file owner here as the class name torch view, and head to the connections and connect the content view to the parent view, that is the main view here. Make sure the view is selected and head to the size and say freeform, and going to set its custom width and height of 60 for both. And to get rid of the bottom bar, just head to another file and come back to the nib file. The bottom bar will be hidden. Select the content view and set its background color to clear color. And from the library, we are going to bring in a button that is going to be placed here. We're going to set its label to torch button. We are going to remove the button's title. We are going to say its image name is set to be bolt.fill. So it looks like lightning bolt, sorry. Set its background color to background on alpha 60. Apply its tint color to text color, text on background alpha, and set its constraints 10 from all sides. Also set its width and height constraint to 40. And while the button is selected, we are also going to set its corner radius, layer.corner radius of type number, and value is going to be 20. So it is a circle. In the torchview.swift file, we are going to have another IB outlet, private weak var torch button of type UI button. And also we will be creating an IB action for the button, torch button handler with the name, and its type is going to be button of UI button type. For the torch, we will be having an enum that tells us about the state for the torch button. So on top of the file, I'm going to say torch mode as an enum, and its case is going to be two options. One is off and one is on. Also, we will be having a property, private var torch mode is going to be torch mode dot off. Also, we will be utilizing the delegate to notify the calling class that the torch button has been triggered. So here we are going to have a protocol for torch view delegate that is of type class, and we will say torch tapped and pass in the torch mode. And also we are going to have a property for the delegate as a vQuad delegate that is of same type, torch view delegate. Make sure it's optional. And in the IV action, we are going to switch over the torch button, torch mode, sorry. In a case of it's off, we will say torch button's tint color is going to be selected and torch mode is going to be on now. And similarly, when we are already on the on position, on mode for the torch, we are going to say torch button tint color is going to be text on background alpha, and torch mode is going to be off. And finally, we need to call in the delegate to notify that the torch mode has been triggered and updated. Let's head to the nib file for the torch view and make sure the file owner is selected. Head to the connections. First, connect the torch button connection to the torch button, and the torch button's handler event, set it to torch button, but this time set it to touch up inside. We can also make sure that the button has been connected properly and the event is connected also, and also by going to the file owner and making sure all the connections are connected. Now we will be adding the torch view to the capture view controller. So let's head to the capture view controller's nib file. Let's expand the views, and from the library bring in a new view. I'm going to bring the view up above the alert view, directly below the timer view. And set its class name as torch view. Also going to set its label to torch view. Make sure its background color is set to clear color. Also going to apply width and height constraint of 60. We'll be applying leading constraint of 30 and also the top constraint of 30. Make sure our top constraint doesn't align to the timer view, but rather to the safe area. So need to update this by double clicking, and in the timer views bottom, select as the safe areas top, and I'll apply the constant of 30. And in the capture view controller's Swift file, and we are going to have an IV outlet of type private vvar torch view of type torch view. Head back to the capture view controller's nib file and select the file owner. Connect the torch view to the torch view. In the capture view controller Swift file, create a new method in the private extension. Call it setup torch view, and torch view's delegate is going to be self, and add the delegate conformance as an extension of capture view controller and torch view controller delegate. And in the view did load on top of the file, here when the super.view did load has been fired, we need to say setup torch view. Next, we will be adding the torch view methods in the capture session controller. So let's head to the capture session controller. In the private extension, I'm going to create a new method, set torch mode. The parameter is going to be torch mode, and its type is going to be AVCaptureDevice.TorchMode. and I'm going to check if I have already a capture device. I'm going to take it, otherwise I'm going to return false from here, and make sure we are also going to return bool from here. Then before setting the torch mode, we need to acquire a lock on the capture device, lock for configuration. So we need to wrap it in the do and catch. Catch let error. As ns error, and also going to type in the print message fail to get lock for configuration on capture device with error, and going to pass in the error message as the print statement. And also we'll be having another guard statement on the capture device. Is torch available? If not, we are going to return false from here. And if we have the capture device, if it is available, we will be setting the torch mode to the required torch mode from the parameter that was requested from us. And we can release now the lock for configuration. And once everything is fine, we can finally return true from here. Now we will be creating two methods for setting the torch mode on and off in the public place, that is the class definition area. Here, function that I'm going to create will be turn on torch. It is going to return type bool, and it is going to return set torch mode, and I'm going to say on. And similarly, I will be creating another method that will be public for turning off the torch. I'm going to call it turn off torch, and going to return bool type and set torch mode off. Is the result directly returned from here. Head to the capture view controller, and in the end of the file where we were confirming to the protocol of the torch view, we need to switch over the torch mode, and in case if it was off, we will be calling capture session controller to turn off torch. And same way, if we are required to turn on the torch, we will ask the capture session controller to turn on the torch on the capture device. Now we need to update the torch view's button state to that of the capture session controller. So if the capture session controller was able to successfully turn on or off the torch mode, we will be aligning our torch view button state to that of the same. That means if it is on, we will be setting the button as selected, that is the yellow color of the torch button. And in case if it was turned off, we will be updating its color to white, but only when it is successful. So let's head to the torch view Swift file, and in the delegate, we are going to refactor this. I'm going to have another property here called completion handler, and make sure it's a type of a closure or block, you can call it, and it's going to accept a parameter, the property of bool. And then in the IB action, we need to modify this method. We will be calling the delegate dot torch tapped on the torch mode, success as the parameter. Make sure we have the weak self in the closure, and also gar let self equals self else return. And also we'll be checking on the success state, else return early, and bring in the following code here. So switch over the torch mode to self.torchMode. In case it's off, going to set it to on, and similarly to the torch button. Make sure we delete the line. And in the capture view controller, we are going to update this code into following way. So in case when the torch mode was off, we need to set the torch mode on. We're going to bring this method up here and turn off down. But here we are going to require a result type. And if we were not able to get the correct turning on torch mode condition, we are going to display an alert message, could not turn on torch, and will be having the completion handler also. Call in the completion handler with the result type. Same way for the on condition, we need to turn off the torch. So going to have the result over here. And similarly, if we could not get the successful result, we are going to show and hide the alert view, could not turn off torch. And also we are going to call the completion handler here of type. Now we need to pass the result also. So torch is only available on the back cameras of the devices. So when the user switches to the front camera, we will be hiding the torch view, and we will show it back again when the user switches to the back camera. So let's add that code. So in the same capture view controller.swift file, let's head to the toggle camera tapped. And when the user switches to the front camera, we are also going to hide the torch view is hidden to true. And the back camera, when the user switches back to the back camera, we will enable back the torch view to be shown. So when the user switches to the front camera, we need to preserve the old zoom state when on the back device. And when the user switches back to the back camera, we will be showing back again the zoom state of the back camera. So let's go ahead and do that. In the capture session controller, let's declare a new property. And going to call it of type private var previous zoom state of type zoom state dot wide, and we are going to refactor the toggle camera to this. So when the user switches to the back camera first, we will be setting the previous zoom state to that of the current zoom state, and self.zoom state is going to be wide now. And same way for the front camera. After we have done switching to the back camera, we will be applying the zoom state, self.previous zoom state, and call in the set video zoom factor. Now we need to reset the exposure and focus state when you're switching between the cameras. So let's go ahead and do that. While in the same capture session controller, let's create a new method in the private extension. I'm going to call it reset focus. I'm going to require a device point over here of type CG point. Value is going to be 0. Value is going to be 0.5 and 0.5 on the Y. And say set focus. Continuous autofocus. Exposure is also continuous auto exposure. Point will be device point, and should monitor subject area changes will be false. And in the toggle camera method, once everything is set up with the completion handler, Before the completion handler, we are going to call in self.resetFocus. Next, we will be creating point of interest view. That is basically a square kind of view that is shown in a yellow color in the existing Apple's camera application. So when user taps on any given area, the iPhone application of the camera application shows a point of interest view that this specific area is going to be your focus area and the exposure set for continuous monitoring. We will be doing the same. We will be creating point of interest view, and when the user taps on any given area, we will be monitoring the changes which we have done in the previous video. But at this time, in today's video, we will be showing this point of interest view as a square, and it's going to be hidden after a few seconds. So let's go ahead and do that. Under the views, I'm going to right click and create new group. I'm going to call it point of interest, and we'll be creating a new file, CocoaTouch class of type UI view, and the class name is going to be point of interest view. I'm going to copy it this time, the file name, click create, and I'm going to also create a new file that is of type view. Going to paste in the same name. Head back to the Swift file, make sure we delete this code and write in our usual code, that is IB outlet weak var content view of type UI view, and have the override the initializers. So we're going to call in super.init with frame, pass in the frame. Same way for the init with coder, call in super.init coder, and have private function custom init, and make sure we call in the custom init from both of the overridden initializers. And here I'm going to have bundle.main as a variable and a nib name variable that is of type string describing self.self, and I'm going to ask the bundle that I need this nib to be loaded with this nib name. Owner is going to be self, options are nil. Add subview, the content view. Content view's frame is going to be bounds of the parent, and content view's auto resizing mask is going to be flexible width and flexible height. Let's head to the nib file. Make sure we zoom out a bit, bring in the right bar, and apply the file class name on the file owner. It's going to be point of interest view. Head to the connections, connect the content view to the main view over here. Select the view now and set its size to freeform. Also, we'll be updating the sizes to width of 80 and height also of 80. And to get rid of the bottom view, just head to the another file and come back to the nib file. Going to also, while the view is selected, going to also set its background color to clear color. Layer dot corner radius of type number, value is going to be 4, and in the point of interest Swift file, in the custom init, we will be adding the following code. Content view dot layer dot border color is going to be UI color dot yellow dot CG color, and content view dot layers border width is going to be 1. We will be adding the point of interest view to capture view controller now. So let's head to the capture view controller nib file and expand the views, and from the views the library, we are going to bring in a new library, the view, and add it here below. Actually, it doesn't matter, below the whole thing. Okay, this one, and specify the class name as point of interest view. Set its background color to clear color and also apply the label. sorry, not this one here, point of interest view, set its width and height constraint of 80, set its center align in the container and vertical align in the container, and make sure the view is selected and head to the center X constraint, remove at build time, and point of interest center Y also remove at build time. Also, we'll be setting up the alpha property to 0, so it's hidden initially. And in the capture view controller Swift file, we will be having a new property on the top here, IV outlet private weak var point of interest view of type point of interest view. Let's head to the nib file and select the file owner and connect the point of interest view to the point of interest view. Head back to the Swift file, and here we are going to have two properties. Now we're going to have property of private var point of interest half completed work item of type dispatch work item, optionally private var point of interest completed work item of type dispatch work item, and make sure we hide the right bar so we have enough space. And in the private extension, we're going to create a new method. We are going to call it show point of interest view at point. Going to have a property of CG point, and make sure first we have the point of interest half completed work item set to nil, point of interest work item also set to nil. So if anything is ongoing or scheduled to happen after some defined time, it will be cleared from here. It will set to nil. Then we are going to say point of interest view dot center is going to be the main point, and also the point of interest view I'm going to apply the transformation as CG affine transform, and this time I'm going to choose a scale with values of 1.5 for both X and Y, and have in the animation UI view property animator. Animation duration is 0.3, curve method is ease in and out, and the animation is self.pointofInterestView.transform is going to be identity, and also self.pointofInterestViews alpha is going to be 1, so it is shown. And this animation we will be saying to start immediately. Then we are going to also have point of interest half completed work item as dispatch work item, and here I'm going to have weak self as the property, guard let self equals self else return, and also have animation over here, UI view property animator, curve method, the duration is 0.3, curve method is ease in and out, and the animations is self.pointofInterest.alpha is going to be half 0.5, so it is halfway shown. And we are also going to say animation to start. Make sure we delete this line, and we are going to have another work item for the fully completed one, point of interest completed work item is going to be dispatch work item with again weak self in guard let self equals self else return. Here I'm going to have another animation from UI view property animator. Duration is again 0.3, curve method is ease in and out, and the animations is self.pointOfInterest view alpha set to 0, and animation is going to be started here also. And now once these both work items have been set, we need to delay them by using the dispatch async. DispatchQueue.main async after, going to use this method. So this specific method doesn't require directly the block or the closure. Rather, it requires us to provide in the dispatch work item. And what happens is we can schedule them to be fired after 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever our time is. And if we do require for them to be cancelled, we can cancel it right away. So I'm going to use this method, dispatch async after, with the deadline of now plus 2 seconds, and going to pass in the half completed work item. And similarly, I'm also going to schedule in the dispatch queue main.async after plus 4 seconds point of interest completed work item. And just before we exit the method here, before we exit, we need to set in the property, so we keep a reference of them. Point of interest work item, point of interest half completed work item, and self.pointOfInterest completed work item is going to be point of interest completed work item. Next, we will be updating the overlay method, overlay tap handler method. We are going to make sure that we do get the tap view from the tap gesture recognizer, else we are going to return, so we don't have it as an optional view. I'm going to have a new property called new location. It's going to be tap view dot convert point tap location to the main views coordinate system, and then call in show point of interest at new location, so it shows the point of interest when the user taps on the given area. So this is the application now running on my iPhone, and I'm going to tap on the torch view. So you guys can see the torch view will be lit up properly, the torch of the video camera. Here, the torch is now on, and same way, first the capture session controller was able to do so by the capture device, and then only the button condition was updated for the yellow state. And when I tap on the button again, which is this one, it is going to turn off the torch mode. So now to reset the zoom state, if I am on the back camera now and I switch to 2x, that is the wide angle, that is the telephoto, and I tap on the switch camera view here, the toggle camera. Hello, that's me. I can go back to the back camera here, and it will remember the previously selected zoom state, and it will update the zoom state when the back camera is updated. Similarly, for the torch view that we have added, when we switch to the front camera, hello, it is hidden from the top place. So that's also added. Finally, we can also confirm the point of interest view is showing up properly. This is the yellow square that was shown, and after 2 seconds it fades out to its half place, that is 0.5 alpha, and then after 2 more additional seconds it completely hides away. So this is what we are doing with the point of interest. Now at least our users have an understanding which part of the camera is currently in focus, and the exposure is updated for that. So, and also we can show the scale animation with that. With that, we conclude today's video. Stay tuned to the channel for amazing content. If you like the video, hit like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want me to cover any extra material in future, mention in the comments. I'll be covering that. Alright guys, thank you so much. Bye bye.